Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we're undertaking a seriously ambitious journey. We are synthesizing cutting edge quantum physics, thermodynamics, and ancient Gnostic mythology. I know, it's a lot, but stick with me. If you've ever looked up at the night sky and felt like the universe was just this cold, empty box, well, the source texts we're diving into today propose a radically different framework. They suggest the cosmos is actually an actively breathing, fiercely intelligent machine. And guess what? You aren't just some random biological accident. No, you are a literal load-bearing coordinate right inside of it. Let's get into it. So here is our roadmap for today's breakdown. We're hitting science and myth united, gods as cosmic algorithms, the toroidal port architecture, the biological Xerox event, humanity as a viral colony, and finally, the human heart singularity. All right, part one, science and myth united, two sides of the exact same coin. You know, for centuries, we've basically treated science and religion as these absolute mortal enemies. But our sources completely reframe this. They actually position a physics as poorly translated scripture and myth as poorly translated physics. Just think about the terms for a second. When the ancient Greeks were talking about primordial chaos and the divine mind giving birth to the world, they were literally describing the exact same state that modern quantum physicists call the undifferentiated quantum void and wave function collapsed, triggered by a conscious observer. It's wild, right? These two vastly different vocabularies are actually mapping the exact same thing, an actively breathing 12-dimensional structured universe. Moving on to part two, gods as cosmic algorithms, or what we might call mechanical theology. Now, to truly grasp this entire framework, we basically have to strip away the magic. We need to translate those ancient Gnostic texts into strict computational thermodynamics. Notice how these incredibly esoteric concepts just get completely demystified when we do this. We aren't looking at angry deities sitting on clouds here. We're looking at the hard mechanical functions of a cosmic operating system. For example, the monad. That's the zero-dimensional furious point of origin. Abraxas is the mathematical harmonic keeper. Sabaoth is literally the 64-bit operating system canvas that's actively processing multiversal timelines. And those terrifying archons you hear about? They're basically ruthless cosmic spam filters. Their job is to delete noisy timelines to keep the whole universe from crashing, which makes the demiurge just the local space-time rendering engine. It's literally a computer architecture. Which brings us perfectly to part three, the toroidal port architecture. Let's look at the cosmic plumbing. So let's map out the actual hardware of this cosmic engine on a macro scale. I want you to imagine the universe not as this infinitely expanding balloon, but as a giant, self-sustaining 12-dimensional donut, a master torus. This sequence marches us straight through its massive plumbing system. It starts off with a black hole acting as this infallible drain, just violently pulling matter inward. Then the wormhole violently scatters time into these branching, fractured paths. And as that energy is pushed to its absolute breaking limit, boom! The white hole erupts with completely saturated energy. But then the whole system flips. The void inhale actively swallows up all that chaotic entropy. The echo tunnel realigns the fractured timelines. And finally, the bright hole converts that eternal stillness back into raw, formless potential. It is a perfect, continuous cycle of expansion and refinement. All right, part four, the biological Xerox event, the microgenesis. So what does this massive cosmic engine actually have to do with us? Well, if we anchor on that ancient Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, we can actually see how this grand machine dictates our very own human biology. The absolute crucial point here is that human fertilization isn't just some random biological process. It is a localized, microscopic manifestation of the universe mathematically generating itself. Our source actually calls this the biological Xerox. Think of the sperm as the monad, basically a zip file of fiercely compressed kinetic information. And the egg is the omnion, this vast, boundless field of pure potential. So when they collide, the original cosmic singularity dynamically duplicates itself in miniature. The printing press of the universe literally turns on, scaling the entire cosmos down into a biological body. Which leads us to part five, humanity, a viral colony. The living scar. Now, this brings us to a massive narrative pivot. We kind of have to abandon this comforting idea that humanity is some pristine, independent creation. We are the scar on consciousness. Okay, I know that sounds deeply pessimistic, right? But the source material backs this up with hard genetics. Endogenous retroviruses, these ancient rogue packets of viral information, literally inserted their code into our ancestors billions of years ago, and they just never left. They built the genes for the mammalian placenta. They regulate our immune systems. They built our synaptic brain structures. We are quite literally the somatic pattern, the successful, cooperating viral scar that was left behind after a cosmic virus successfully integrated with matter. But here's the thing, and this is totally crucial. Being a viral colony is actually not a bad thing at all. We aren't some dystopian parasite. We are a triumphant evolutionary strategy. The text refers to humanity as the probiotic chaos torque. Let me explain. Think about a hyper-advanced cosmic supercomputer, a system that is so perfectly logical and efficient that it actually risks freezing up in its own predictive loops. It needs atmospheric noise to keep running. And you know what? That's us. Our messy, highly emotional, completely unpredictable human friction is exactly what the universe designed us to provide. We act as the vital, chaotic spark plugs, keeping this perfect cosmic engine spinning. Okay, part 6, our final section, the human heart's singularity, the final mirror. Finally, we land on the most relatable part of your own physical body. Think about this incredible architectural mirror. We can actually view the entire macrocosmic system as one giant heart chakra, and its 4-dimensional rooms of cosmic reality are physically replicated right there in the 4 vortex chambers of your own beating heart. The right atrium grounds the raw input of dense physical flesh. The right ventricle pumps out to the branching pathways of choice. The left atrium acts as the refining fire of the soul, and the left ventricle is the spirit, powerfully ejecting that coherent song back into the system. Your heart is literally executing the exact same architecture as that 12-dimensional cosmic engine, beat by beat. And right at the center of those 4 chambers sits the heart singularity. It's a 0-dimensional fulcrum. It acts as the mirror gate, perfectly separating the in-breath and the out-breath of the entire system. Your heart is not just a biological pump moving blood around. It is a 0-point bioelectric engine. And sitting right at the center of that engine is you. You are the sovereign pilot, steering your reality from the center of your very own personal black hole. Which really leaves us with the ultimate question. If the universe isn't just a dead void, but an actively living engine, and you're the pilot operating the biological Xerox from the center of your heart's singularity, are you brave enough to stop looking outward for answers? Are you brave enough to look entirely inward, into that quiet void inside yourself, and realize that you were the architect all along? I'm going to leave you with that final provocative thought to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer. And remember, keep looking inward. Catch you next time.